Hello again. This is Scott Howland coming to you for National University with my capstone class. This is for Domain 6, Developing as a Professional Educator. This video is about TPE 12, the professional, legal, and ethical obligations an educator faces. There are a lot of these. Like, teachers face a lot of ethical and legal issues, especially me, a single male teacher. I worry about this greatly. But we have to worry about things along the lines of teacher supervisory liability, teacher and student freedom of expression, teacher personal lifestyle, balance between religion and schooling, student and teacher freedom of association, student punishment, student due process rights, search and seizure in the classroom, and obviously sexual discrimination and harassment. I want to focus mostly on teacher personal lifestyle, teacher freedom of association, and balance between religion and schooling. Personal lifestyle, I'm a giant nerd. I don't have to worry about a lot of things like that. But really, it comes down to any behavior that negatively influences student learning or teacher effectiveness could be reason for employment termination. This is the one thing I really find annoying with Hollywood lately, where they're showing teachers involved with their students in ways that we're gonna get fired or arrested for immediately, such as Riverdale, that Bad Teacher, uh, Boy Meets World, Girl Meets World. All these TV shows are showing behavior that, as an educator, you're going to get fired immediately if anybody notices anything that you're doing. But really, the thing we got to worry about is any behavior that we do that can negatively influence a student, we can get fired for it. So we got to be very careful with how we behave. We also have to worry about what we do outside of school as well. I mean, you've heard of stories. There's been all kinds of apocryphal stories about teacher behavior. What they do outside of school will get them in trouble in school. So something we have to be very worried. That's something we have to be worried about. I really like one of my when I was student teaching, not my master teacher, but her co-teacher had a rule that if his students saw him out and about in the wild, and they didn't mention it, and they didn't come up and say hi to him, and they didn't do anything to bother him while he was out with his family, and they would let him know that, hey, I saw you at X place on Saturday. And he's like, yeah, that was me. He's like, he'll actually give them extra credit or a candy bar or something as a reward for them to not bother him during the school, during the teacher's private time. I mean, I'm with my students. I'm at school 40 hours a day minimum. I don't want to deal with my students on my own time, and I assume others are in the same viewpoint. And then we have to worry about teacher personal lifestyle, like what we do offsite does affect us. Like if we get in trouble legally, that will affect us as educators, then we can get fired for that as well. Things that we post on social media will also be something we have to worry about, especially ethically. It's one of the reasons why most of my teacher friends either don't use Facebook or have their Facebook so segmented that students and parents can't see it. Or an easy rule that I have is I just won't friend a student on Facebook or Instagram or anything else. Not while they're my student. Once they graduate, we'll see. But I don't want that to be a potential issue at all. Balance between religion and schooling. I mean, it's not. It's never a good idea, especially in public education, to bring religion in. I don't want to deal with angry parents. That I I grew up going to church. I don't go to church anymore. I Parents don't need to know that. Students don't need to know that. What I do on Sundays in the mornings is my choice and my decision. I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to get involved in that. I don't care what my students do, and I hope they don't care what I do. I mean, it's a personal decision for them to make. They don't need my assistance, yay or nay. I want them to make decisions on their own. Ethically, it's only wise and fair. Religious beliefs can't override curriculum, in my opinion. If it's on the curriculum, we have to teach it. Like, if I'm not a health teacher, but sex ed is something that's going to be taught. I live in California. Reproductive, safe sex, all these things need to be taught. We're doing our students a disservice if we let our as educators, if we let our religious beliefs come up with a reason for why we can't do it. We shouldn't restrict assignments based on religion either. Uh, there's going to be times in history classes where we may or may not study religions. I mean, ancient ancient history, especially ancient European history, Christianity is a very important mover of religion, of history and of philosophy and of what we've learned. The Enlightenment, a lot of the rejection of Christianity, the Protestant Reformation. These are all things that are going to be learned in, but students don't need to know my opinion on these things. I just need to give them the facts, ethically, legally, emotionally. These are what the things that I think I need to do. Obviously, religion has a place in school, but that's not a place that I, as a teacher, can do that. I think the joke that my parents post about all the time. I mean, as long as there are tests in school, there will be prayer. And who's to say what God we should be teaching them about or praying to? It's a personal issue. Students get to do whatever they want to do. As a teacher, that's not my place to push it. Again, by doing something like that, I can get fired, and I don't want that. Teachers can, when it comes to associating, don't associate with your students outside of school. It's only safe. And if you're going to be involved in sports with them, make sure you're never ever alone with your student. Because when it comes down to, if it ever comes down to a he said she said, you don't want to put yourself in that position, because you don't want it to, even if you do nothing wrong, especially if you do nothing wrong, you never want to put yourself in the position where you can get in trouble. Also, just never be alone with your students. It's safer that way. It's wiser that way. Always make sure you have somebody in the classroom with you. Don't close the doors. Keep them wide open so anybody can look in. Be careful. Be something you have to worry about. That's the important things I believe when it comes to this. You got to make sure, I mean, as an educator, especially with development, joining the union is probably the smart idea, but you got to be careful with that as well. Be careful with who you associate with. Students, teachers, and parents must maintain the integrity of the school program, of whatever they're doing in the school. Anything that you as an educator does that would be adverse, or something that's against what is not a good idea, should be avoided. Don't do it. Stay away. It's only wise. I mean, ethically, morally, legally, we need to be careful as educators. We are the authorities in the classroom. We have local parentis. Like, if something happens to a student, it's our call what happens, and if we can't, especially if we can't get in contact with the parents, like, if anything's going wrong, we're the ones that are the first line. We need to be very careful and very, very nervous about what we do with the students, because we're adults. They're children. We don't want to get in trouble. We don't want to do anything adverse. We don't want to affect them negatively in any way, shape, or form. We want to keep things on the up and up and safe. We want to do this because this is our calling. We want to be educators, and the ethical ramifications are immense. If you have any questions about this, I'd be more than happy to discuss them with you. This is something I'm passionate about when it comes to education. I'm worried about I myself am sometimes worried about these things. I'm like I said, I'm a single, older man. I don't want to do anything that makes my students uncomfortable. I don't want to place myself in any positions where I become uncomfortable. I have to worry about this ethically. I have to worry about this legally. I don't want to, but I have to. I look forward to talking with you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't be afraid to email me. Scott D, as in David, Howland, SCOTTDHOWLAND @yahoo.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to talk to you. Let's see how this dialogue goes. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.